Stevie Nicks has long stood as a defining figure in rock music. Her voice, ethereal, powerful, and unmistakable, combined with lyrics rich in emotion, have etched her legacy into music history. Now at 76, she remains an icon whose career spans decades of hit records, unforgettable performances, and deeply personal storytelling.
It would have been a nightmare scenario for me to live through.
But behind the stage persona and enduring fame lies a lesser-known narrative, one of love, heartbreak, and the personal connections that quietly shaped her life and artistry.
It's a good story, too. I tell a good story.
For the first time, Nicks is opening up about a man who profoundly influenced her heart and her music. This is a story not only of romance, but of loss and lasting emotional resonance. He became the muse behind some of her most hauntingly beautiful songs, the one she never fully let go of. The story begins in the 1960s, when a teenage Stevie Nicks met Lindsey Buckingham at Menlo Atherton High School in California. Their connection started through music but quickly deepened into a powerful personal bond. A duet performance at a school event revealed a unique chemistry, one that hinted at the creative magic that lay ahead. Following graduation, the two parted ways briefly, only to reunite when Buckingham invited Nicks to join his band, Fritz. Together, they performed as openers for major acts such as Jefferson Airplane and Janis Joplin, immersing themselves in the electrifying spirit of the 1960s rock scene. When Fritz disbanded in the early 1970s, the duo's relationship, both romantic and musical, intensified. They recorded Buckingham Nicks in 1973. Although the album didn't achieve commercial success, it marked a turning point. Mick Fleetwood took notice, extending an invitation that would change their lives forever. In 1975, Nicks and Buckingham officially joined Fleetwood Mac, helping to redefine the band's sound and trajectory. However, as their fame grew, so did the tensions between them. By the time they began recording Rumors in 1976, their romantic relationship had unraveled. Their personal struggles were laid bare in the music. Nicks channeled her heartbreak into Dreams, while Buckingham responded with the searing Go Your Own Way. These songs became emotional anchors on Rumors, which would go on to become one of the best-selling albums of all time. Though their relationship had ended, their creative partnership endured. The unresolved tension between them added a unique intensity to their performances, one that became emblematic of Fleetwood Mac's allure. Following her split from Buckingham, Nicks entered a new period of artistic exploration and personal discovery. It was during this time that she began a brief but meaningful relationship with singer-songwriter J.D. Souther. Known for his work with the Eagles and as a solo artist, Souther met Nicks amid the vibrant Los Angeles music scene of the early 1970s. Their bond was built on mutual respect and a shared dedication to emotional authenticity in songwriting. But Nicks was also becoming increasingly aware of the inequities facing women in the male-dominated world of rock. She observed firsthand how men like Souther were afforded opportunities and recognition that female artists often had to fight for. This realization only strengthened her resolve to carve out a space for herself on her own terms. Though their romance was short-lived, it left a lasting impression. Souther introduced Nicks to new creative circles and ideas that would shape her evolution as an artist. Songs such as After the Glitter Fades and Has Anyone Ever Written Anything for You are often associated with this chapter of her life. As that relationship ended, Nicks found herself drawn into a more complex entanglement, one that unfolded within the very band that had brought her fame. Her affair with Mick Fleetwood, though kept mostly private at the time, became another significant and tumultuous chapter. By the late 1970s, Fleetwood Mac was at the height of its success, yet behind the scenes, personal tensions were running high. Nicks had recently ended her relationship with Buckingham, and Fleetwood's marriage to Jenny Boyd was in disarray. Amidst this emotional backdrop, Nicks and Fleetwood's connection deepened into a passionate but ultimately ill-fated romance. Their relationship, set against the chaos of touring and recording, further complicated the group's dynamic. Though it brought emotional depth to their music, it also introduced new layers of tension within the band. For Buckingham, the affair was especially difficult to witness. As with many relationships born from emotional turmoil, Nicks and Fleetwood's bond eventually dissolved. But the respect and camaraderie they shared allowed them to move forward as collaborators and friends. Despite the emotional complexity, their dedication to the band and to each other remained intact. In the wake of that chapter, Nicks entered into yet another high-profile romance, this time with Don Henley of the Eagles. It was 1977, and both artists were at the peak of their fame. Their relationship was fueled by a shared understanding of the demands of stardom and a deep appreciation for music. However, that same intensity would prove to be a double-edged sword. The relentless pace of their careers, coupled with the pressure of public life, made the relationship unstable. During this period, Nicks discovered she was pregnant. Faced with a heartbreaking decision and the reality of her demanding career, she chose to terminate the pregnancy, a choice that left a deep emotional scar. The relationship could not survive the weight of that moment. Though they eventually parted ways, the emotional undercurrent of their time together continued to echo in both their lives and their music. It was shortly after that when Nicks began working closely with producer Jimmy Iovine. Their collaboration on Belladonna, her debut solo album, marked a creative renaissance. Iovine understood her artistic vision intuitively, and together they crafted a record that would solidify her status as a solo force. Hits like Edge of 17 and Stop Draggin' My Heart Around defined the sound of Belladonna, but behind the scenes, the line between professional and personal began to blur. As their working relationship blossomed into a romance, the pressures of balancing love with career ambitions became increasingly difficult to navigate. As Stevie Nicks balanced her responsibilities with Fleetwood Mac and the demands of a rising solo career, her relationship with producer Jimmy Iovine began to shift. The pressures of their individual ambitions, hers as a performer, his as a producer, began to create distance. Yet, even as the romance faded, their professional collaboration endured. Iovine would go on to co-found Interscope Records and play a pivotal role in reshaping the music industry through ventures like Beats Electronics. Meanwhile, Nicks continued to solidify her status as one of rock music's most distinctive voices. In 1982, at the height of her solo success, Nicks was confronted with a personal tragedy that would profoundly affect her. Her closest friend, Robin Snyder, was diagnosed with terminal leukemia while pregnant with her first child. The news was devastating. Nicks remained by her side during her final days, offering strength, support, and unwavering friendship. In the wake of Robin's passing, Nicks made a decision that stunned those around her. She married Robin's widowed husband, Kim Anderson, just 3 months after her death. The choice, Nicks later admitted, stemmed from grief rather than romantic love. She felt a powerful obligation to care for Robin's infant son and to preserve the memory of her dear friend. However, the marriage was short-lived. Nicks's life in the fast-paced world of music clashed with Anderson's need for stability. Their lifestyles proved incompatible, and the union ended in divorce just 8 months later. Still, the gesture underscored the depth of Nicks's compassion and her willingness to shoulder the emotional weight of those she loved. In the years that followed, Nicks found herself in one of the most impactful relationships of her life, this time with Eagles guitarist Joe Walsh. By the late 1970s, both artists were at the pinnacle of their careers. Nicks was flourishing with Fleetwood Mac and embarking on solo stardom, while Walsh had already established himself as one of rock's most skilled and inventive guitarists. What distinguished this relationship from the others was its sense of equality. Nicks often referred to Walsh as her soulmate, a partner whose presence was both creatively inspiring and emotionally grounding. Their bond was built on shared experiences, mutual admiration, and a deep appreciation for the artistic process. Together, they sparked a period of remarkable creativity. Walsh's guitar work blended seamlessly with Nicks's voice, while their emotional connection fueled some of her most heartfelt songwriting. Unlike past relationships, this one was free from ego or imbalance. They understood each other, not just as musicians, but as individuals navigating the pressures of fame and personal struggle. However, both were battling their own demons. Substance abuse and the demands of the music industry placed an immense strain on their partnership. Ultimately, they made the difficult decision to separate, not out of conflict, but from a place of mutual care. They needed to heal individually. For Nicks, the breakup was deeply painful. She would later describe it as one of the hardest decisions of her life. Yet, as always, she turned to music for solace. The emotional aftermath of their relationship poured into her work, giving it a depth and honesty that resonated with listeners worldwide. Despite the end of their romance, Nicks and Walsh remained close friends. The bond they shared continued to shape their lives long after the spotlight dimmed on their time together. For Nicks, Walsh was the one, the love who left the deepest impression. Her ability to transform personal stories into universally relatable songs has long been a hallmark of her artistry. Listeners may not know the exact details of her experiences, but they feel the emotional truth in every lyric. Through themes of heartbreak, resilience, and introspection, she crafts songs that feel both intimate and timeless. As the years passed, Nick's perspective on love matured. The fiery passions of youth gave way to more reflective, nuanced understandings. Her later work captures this shift, imbued with wisdom and shaped by decades of personal growth. Her journey, both as a woman and as an artist, continues to unfold in every note she sings. Through it all, Stevie Nicks remains a storyteller at heart, using music not only to share her life, but to connect deeply with the lives of others.